It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the HVACR videos live stream. Hello to everybody in the chat. Lots of familiar screen names in there and some new people, some people that I haven't seen in a while, so it's really cool to catch up with everybody. My name is Chris. I'm an HVACR service technician here in Southern California for the new people, and I just make videos showing the stuff that I run into on a daily. I don't think I'm anything special. I'm just a service technician that happens to film the stuff that I do. Okay. I try to be as honest as possible, filming the good, the bad, the ugly, all that in between. And that's me. If you guys have questions during this live stream that you want me to answer or topics that you want me to address, your best bet is to put the questions or topics in the YouTube chat in caps lock. Okay. If you're watching on another streaming service, that's fine. It's all good. Just put the questions in caps lock. That'll help me to see them. I'm not going to be able to get to everything as usual, so you can feel free to shoot me an email at hvacrvideos@gmail.com if I miss anything, okay? I try, but, there's a lot of stuff going on in these chats. And then oftentimes, too, the comments, the people in the comments will help out, too. If you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, that's fine. It doesn't benefit me either way what streaming platform or what platform you watch this on, but there is a huge group in the YouTube chat and there's a great community going on in there. So if you want to have a conversation with everybody, your best bet is to jump into the YouTube live stream. If you want to find my channel, it's just HVACR videos on YouTube and it should pop up with the live stream. That Gamer Boy, thank you very much for that super chat. And again, thank you, Brian, for the super chat that you sent right before the stream started. So it's really awesome. So got a couple things I want to cover as usual. Let me have a look in here and see what else we got going on. Room mic. Is there a problem with the microphone? Am I underwater? What is going on? Do we have a mic problem? That is not good. Let me adjust some things and see if we're missing something here. Okay, yeah, let me play with it here. Let's see. That's why. Hold on just 1 second. Hopefully this doesn't screw everything up. Hold on 1 sec. And hopefully that's a little bit better. Let's see if the audio is any better. I don't know. Let's hope it comes back and everything is working like it's supposed to. Let me know in the chat. Okay, cool. Right on. Let me see a couple more confirmations to make sure that the audio is doing good. Better? Yes, really good. Okay, all right. That's why there's something about when you're streaming, it is a pain in the butt. I use a mixer and sometimes things get changed on the mixer and it just destroys everything. So what it was doing was my mixer and the streaming software for some reason was using the microphone from my web camera. Don't know why. So yeah, it is what it is. All right. Yep. Always got problems, right? Let's see. Jason Johnson said, during this intermission, feel free to refill your beverages, grab your popcorn, use the restroom, and we're back. So, yeah, I apologize to everybody, but let's get on with it, okay? So, I had a couple videos in the last couple weeks. I'll get into those in a minute. And I want to go ahead and talk about my home system. Okay. So, a lot of questions, a lot of people asking me about my home system, the design that I'm doing. So, what it is I'm replacing the air conditioner in my home. Now, I've always known that the air conditioner is oversized in my home, but myself and my friend Adam, Adam Muffich from the HVAC Overtime Show, he helped me to do a load calculation on my house, and we delved deep into it, and we really went into the deep end doing the proper load calculation with duct design and everything on my home. And what we found was I was correct. My house is massively oversized. Now, why in the heck am I going from a 4-ton system all the way down to a 2-ton system? Okay, here's what it is. The original air conditioning system that was installed in this house in the late 80s, early 90s, before I lived here, was a 3-ton system. Okay. Even at a 3-ton, it was probably marginally sized, like right in the ballpark, but the house had a lot of infiltration at the time. Since then, this house, over the last however many years it is, has been upgraded, renovated. I moved into the house, oh, shoot, 12 years ago or something. And I knew there was a lot of problems, but the house already had a lot of upgrades done to it. Okay. Some major upgrades that were done to my house that really, really significantly decreased the infiltration of this home was double pane windows. We put in, or the house had double pane vinyl windows put in all the way throughout the house. Then the house had a large patio cover installed on the entire back of the house, completely shading all the windows on the back of the house from getting any afternoon sun or any morning to mid-afternoon sun. Okay. So the sun comes up over the back of my house, sets over the front of my house. Other things that were done was I upgraded, the air, or I fixed a lot of the air leakage in the house. And we have, what else have we done? I think that's it for the time being. I know there's a couple other things that we did too. But anyways, so what we did was we were able to reduce the load on the house over the years all the way down to a 2-ton system. Now, I know a lot of people think that's insane, installing a 2-ton system on a 1,800 square foot single story house in Southern California, but the math doesn't lie. The load calculation, after we double checked it, triple checked it, is accurate. Okay. So we are installing a 2-ton system in my house. Okay. I know a lot of people, I keep getting comments from people saying that like I'm nuts, I'm crazy. you know, never go down that low. It needs to be oversized, all this different stuff. And it's all good. Guess what? If I made a mistake, if things are incorrect, the cool thing is that it's all going to be caught on camera. Okay. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to be just fine. Okay. So we are installing a 2-ton heat pump in the house. I am not installing resistance heat. Now, the heating load was slightly higher than what the standard heat pump can output with the 2-ton heat pump. Okay. I decided to opt for not putting heat strips in my system. But what I did do, okay, and I haven't shown it on film yet, was I sized the new electrical run for the indoor fan coil as if it was to have heat strips already, because I'm changing from an existing air conditioning with a furnace, okay, air conditioner with a furnace, to a 2-ton heat pump. So we are no longer going to be needing a 115 volt fan coil. We will now be required to have a 208 volt fan coil, or 240 volt, I guess I should say. And so what I did was I had to pull new wire, new breaker and everything for the indoor fan coil. I've already done that. So what I've been doing with this process on my house project is I'm super busy at work, right? Running a normal business, working every day, family life, all that stuff. And this house project has really taken me a while to finish and complete, just because I've been so busy. So I've been just kind of doing it on my own on the weekends, a little bit here, a little bit there. And I am getting closer and closer, actually very close to the final installation. So went ahead this last weekend, ran a good majority of the line set. Now we haven't finished it completely. I still got to do some more. Hopefully I'll get it done. I don't know. That's a little bit of a push to say I'm going to get it done next week in the line set. I don't think I will, but I'm going to get some of it done next weekend. And then just a few more things to do, some ductwork stuff to tie up, and then I'm going to be ready to make the final switch over. Now, I'm replacing my existing furnace with a new fan coil and putting it into the same location. So I want to reduce the downtime on my existing system. And that's why I'm just doing everything that I can up until the final point where I have to shut my system down for a weekend or so and do the swap over, do the install. And that's where we're at. Okay. So let me see what we got going on in the chat. What am I missing? I'm trying to think if it's a 26 VNA. I don't think it's the 26. Hold on. It's the 25 VNA 4. I didn't go with the new fancy whatever. I just got a standard 2-ton. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Yeah, I shut the garage door. That was a big thing. You got to go watch the videos on my channel. I don't know the title of the video, but it's House Project, HVACR videos, House Project, or something like that. It's the name of the title. There's 2 or 3 of them where it shows me working through the process. So if you haven't seen them, definitely go check them out. Why heat pump? I just wanted to try a heat pump in my house and see what was up. I really have no preference. I don't have any political agendas or anything like that. I know that I'm going to probably consume a little more electricity running a heat pump, but I just wanted to try it out and see what happened. And also you got to understand too, like I went with a super fancy Carrier Infinity system. I realized that, you know, I could have bought just a, you know, something else and it would have been a lot cheaper, but I figured, you know what, this will make for good content. And if we have issues, we have issues. I'll film it all. It'll be fun, right? All right, let's see what else we got going on in here. Replacing my ductwork. Yes, we are doing a full system replacement. So ductwork, registers, supply duct boots. We're adding returns to the system. We are fixing everything. We're putting transfer grills from every room to alleviate the pressure that builds up in the rooms because the undercuts under the doors aren't enough. Like we're going, yeah, we're going crazy on this. Okay. And the cool thing is that I'm in no rush. I have no obligations to anybody other than myself to get this project done. So I've just been taking my time, having fun with it, learning through the process. That's another thing. I'm learning through this. I'm learning about air leakage and things that solve air leakage. I made some mistakes. If you go watch the first couple videos, you know, you'll see a mistake where I spent $800 buying can light covers and realized they weren't going to do what I thought they would do. Now they still did something in the end, but I didn't need to spend $800 on those things. Like that was a waste of my money. All right. I probably don't use a lot of heat though. You know, surprisingly, I think my design temperature is 37 degrees for heating. And my design temperature for cooling is 96 degrees, I believe, Fahrenheit. So is my cooling design temperature. But right now we're going through a heat wave. It's currently 103 at my house. It was 108 today. So it was a pretty warm day. All right, what kind of walk-in freezer cooler combo or walk-in freezer or cooler do I mainly work on? Lots of cold pack equipment, RDI equipment, lots of Heatcraft equipment, and lots of Russell equipment is a lot of the walk-in equipment I'm doing. Brian, thank you very much for that super chat earlier. Again, I really do appreciate that. And then also thank you to Downs Brio. I don't know how to say that screen name for that super chat. I really do appreciate it. Okay. Why does it seem like every tech hates mini splits? Is there actually a good brand? Okay. So first and foremost, mini splits, almost every mini split out there, a good majority of them are made by the same company first and foremost. Okay. So, you know, when you differentiate between a lot of different brands of mini splits, they're actually all made majority of the time by the same companies. There's a few manufacturers out there. If I was, you know, if money wasn't an issue and I was to buy mini split and I really wanted to go top of the line, I'd probably go with a Mitsubishi system myself, but I have no, you know, no reason other than everything good that I've heard about them. Okay. But yeah, there's just a lot of manufacturers out there. Okay. So I kind of wanted to talk about the channel, where the channel's at right now, because I've been getting a lot of comments, quite a few people commenting. Benjamin, thank you very much. Brandon, again, thank you very much for that super chat. That's awesome, guys. These are really, really cool. You guys don't have to do these, but thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. Okay. So, you know, the channel in general, where's this channel at? Where's it going? Okay. I do not have grand plans for the channel. I'm just having fun with this. The videos that I make, you know, it started as me filming for my own employees. And of course, I still do that. They get benefits from watching my videos. But I realized that there was some benefit to other people and entertainment value. So I made them public. And here we are now, right? The channel's taken off. But I'm trying not to let any of that stuff get to me. I'm trying to just still be myself and just still film content. If you look from the beginning of the channel to now, the only thing that's really changed on the channel is the quality of the video. I recently was surprised to go back and watch one of my very, very old videos. And I mean, my troubleshooting style, the personality for the most part, everything's the same. Like, you know, I mean, I really haven't changed a whole lot. Yeah, I've brought on a few sponsors, but as far as the channel goes, I don't really plan to change anything. Everything's going to keep going the way that it is. As far as my upload schedule, right now, I'm currently on a 2 video a week upload schedule. My normal video days are Thursdays at 11:45 a.m. Pacific time and Sundays at 4:45 a.m. Pacific time. Those are my 2 upload days. In the beginning of the channel, like very, very beginning, November of 2017, I was actually doing 3 to 4 videos a week because I was super excited, but also the editing was very, very minimal. But yes, I have changed it down to 2 videos a week and 1 live stream Monday evenings, 5 p.m. Pacific. Christopher Clark, again, thank you very much for that super chat. He's asking, when will my online store at hvacrvideos.com have 2XL shirts in stock? That's a good question, bud. I am in limbo on whether or not I want to order any more shirts, okay? Because the shirts, to be honest with you, don't sell. Neither do the sweaters. The hats seem to sell themselves without me really having to push too difficult or too hard. Personally, I don't like to push the merchandise very much. I do it every once in a blue moon where I'll mention something in a video, but I really don't like to like shove it down people's throats. But anyways, as far as the shirts, like they don't really sell that well. So I'm still kind of in limbo on whether or not I want to order any more. So stay tuned. I'll keep everybody updated as we move on. I've thought about changing the shirt design too, because I've had a design in my head for many, many years that I really want to make. But designing shirts is like, with the way that my brain works, it's going to take me months to come up with a design and to work through samples and all this different stuff. So that's not coming anytime soon either. CM says, make a video of the dehumidify mode on the Infinity. It runs the compressor faster and slower. Very interesting. I'll definitely. You want to hear a pizza joke? Oh, yeah, I got you. Never mind. It's too cheesy. Brian Sanders says he was surprised to see me using a fluke meter. So, Brian, I have a Fieldpiece SC480 that I carry in my tool bag with me every day that I use for my go-to. That's kind of like my main meter. I also carry a backup Fluke 902, I think, clamp meter in my van that I don't use that often, but it's there if I need it. And then I also have a Fluke 1587 insulation tester that I keep in my vehicle. So that one is also a VOM, but I use it mainly for insulation testing. But yeah, I have no preference. Like, you know, Fluke works just fine. Like the field piece one does a lot of stuff that I like. So see what else. Opinion of pineapple on pizza. Pineapple 100% belongs on pizza. Okay. You give me a pizza with pepperonis, red onions, pineapples. That is my jam. You can maybe throw in some artichokes on there too. Maybe some olives or some mushrooms. And that's a pretty darn good pizza too. So yes, I do like pineapple on pizza. Let me see. Reading through the chat right now. Okay. Have I ever seen a heat pump installed backwards, inside unit mounted outside, and vice versa? No, I've seen it on the internet, but never seen it in real life. No. Okay. So I want to talk about YouTube comments. Okay. For the most part, I really don't censor or edit the comments on my YouTube channel. Okay. But there's a few things that I do censor and or delete when it comes to comments. Number one, when I'm in my videos, please, please, please do not try to guess the name of the restaurants that I'm working at, even if you guys know them, because if you're an HVACR service tech that does restaurant refrigeration, you probably recognize some of the places that I work at. But I do a very, very thorough job of trying to sanitize my videos in a way that people cannot find the locations, okay? Because I'm trying to protect my customers. Not that it's like insane what I see, because trust me, I don't work in really, really bad places. Okay. Yes, they have some mistakes sometimes, and there's some issues sometimes with cleanliness and stuff like that. But for the most part, trust me, the general public does not understand what dirty really is. Okay. So sometimes people see things in my video and they're just astonished because they think that thing was the disgusting reach-in. And it's like, I go back and watch it. I'm like, that thing's not even dirty, you know? But I try to protect the customers. So if people are trying to guess restaurant names, whether they're incorrect or correct, I delete all those comments that I come across. And I know there's still some that slip through the cracks, but I try to delete them as much as possible. So please don't try to guess that in my comments. Okay. The other thing is when people are hating on each other, I have no problem. If someone posts a negative comment about me, I'll leave those in all day long. Okay. If someone wants to post something that says they don't like me, they think I'm ugly, they don't, whatever, I don't care. I'll leave that in. Okay. The things that I delete is when people start disrespecting each other and they start just saying crap to each other that's vile. I delete those comments. Okay. So I try to leave everything in there, but please don't try to guess the restaurant names. Okay. We're trying to protect the customers so that way I can continue to make these videos. Let me see what else we got going on in here. Okay. Reading through the chat right now. Let's see. Okay. Just want to say, love your channel. Gets me my troubleshooting fixed and run at work. Oh, right on, man. So says he really enjoys the channel. I guess I can put that up there so people can see it. That is a very nice comment, my friend. So thank you very much. Okay, cool. Let me scroll out of here. All right, so let's see what else we got going on here. Okay, so Brian emailed me a question about a data logger. Okay, and Brian had sent me an email or just trending data, right? And he was asking my opinion on some information or some data that a data logging program basically pulled out of the restaurant's operation. So basically the report said something along the lines of a walk-in cooler door that had been opened, let's just say 350 times throughout a day. Okay. And so he was asking me if I thought that was excessive, and, just kind of got me thinking. When you're working in fast food, when you're working in light commercial restaurants, things like that, you're going to find that almost every restaurant out there uses their walk-in cooler as a reach-in cooler. Okay. They improperly use their equipment. So while I am very adamant about designing my home system to the exact heating and cooling load and trying to be as precise and accurate as possible, when it comes time to doing load calculations for refrigeration equipment in a restaurant environment, you have to understand and know the kitchen staff when you're designing equipment, so that way you know how to size the equipment, okay? So you have to make some educated guesses, and you also have to have, you know, an understanding of where the restaurant's going. And what I mean by that, in the future, do they plan on making really big changes, that kind of stuff. So these are all questions that you want to ask restaurant management, the corporate offices, when you are designing new equipment for existing locations. You want to ask them, like, what's the plans for the future, so that way we can design this appropriately. When I design equipment, I take that into account, that they are going to open and close those walk-in doors all the time. Okay. I also take into account that customers are going to try to use walk-in coolers as blast freezers. Okay. So what customers are going to do is they're going to, or walk-in freezers too, for that matter, but they're going to bring hot food into that box on giant carts, and they're going to try to rapidly cool it inside the walk-in cooler. Yes, older equipment was not designed to handle that, but modern day restaurants, they're all doing this. So when we do a heat load calculation on the refrigeration equipment, we have to take that into account. So when you are doing a proper heat load calc for a refrigeration equipment, let's just say walk-in cooler, okay, you will factor in electrical light bulbs that are inside the box. Are they incandescents? Are they fluorescents? You're going to take into account air curtains that are mounted on the doors. You're going to take into account forklifts that might drive in the industrial coolers, or diesel trucks, or who knows what. Okay. When you do a load calculation, you really need to take into account everything, and you're going to size accordingly, so that way the equipment will run in the peak design times, right? So residential, when you're doing a load calculation, you're basically going to take temperature averages. You're going to look for an average. You're going to find a common set point. You're going to measure infiltration, measure the outside of the house, all that stuff, and you're going to come up with a load calculation. And what you're going to try to do in residential is you're going to try to match your load with the equipment runtime, and you want to make sure that you get the longest run time as possible, basically, while still maintaining temperature and satisfying indoor comfort conditions like humidity and things like that, okay? But in refrigeration, you have to design for the most extreme conditions, okay? Because you got to make sure that that equipment is going to perform when they run into those extreme conditions. So design temperature in my area might be 95 degrees, okay? But those extreme days, I'm going to hit 115 degrees. So my design temperature is probably going to be 115 degrees when it comes to outside design. And then inside design, you're going to aim for whatever product they're keeping inside the box. Okay. So keep that in mind when you are doing load calculations. But as far as Brian kind of emailing me, asking me about the doors opening and closing all day, 350 times a day, I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. When you have a restaurant that's open from, let's say, 8 a.m. until 2 a.m., yeah, that doesn't surprise me one bit. Clint, thanks for being a channel supporter. I really do appreciate you. It's been a while since I've seen you. You may have been here, Clint, but it's just, you know, people scroll by all the time. So thank you for coming in again, bud. Thank you for being a channel supporter. That is awesome. I also see my good buddy or social media. What do you want to say? Social media acquaintance, right? And hopefully I consider him to be a good friend, right? Jason Latimer in here, right? Hey, Jason, how you doing, bud? All right, let's see what else we got going on in the chat. Yes, bungee cords. When you're doing a heat load calculation, you have to take into account that bungee cords do exist, okay? Bungee cords are used by restaurant staff to prop doors open. And guess what? I get the utmost satisfaction. I'm gonna tell you my guilty pleasure when I go into restaurants, okay? My guilty pleasure is when I'm at one of my restaurants and I walk in and I see a bungee cord or a string tied on the wall, okay? Because I love cutting them. That's the first thing I do. I go grab that bungee cord, snap with my knife, snap the string, whatever it is, throw it, and I'll usually take it in pieces to the manager and say, you need to make sure your cooks don't use this, you know? That's just dumb. I love cutting bungee cords and strings apart. That's one of my favorite things. Oh, no. And as Sean says, we don't leave doors open. That's what every restaurant says. They all do. Okay. All. I love the we don't leave doors open. And I say, would you mind walking into the back kitchen with me really quick? Well, sure. And we walk in there and, oh, the walk-in cooler door's propped up. Oh, what? They don't do that. That's just this time. It's like, no, this is all the time. Like, you know, it's nuts. All right. So that was a great question. I don't think that that's too many times, but still, you know, I mean, I do think that's pretty excessive. So
Kevin asked about using piercing valves. So mechanical piercing valves when you are working on R290 hydrocarbon systems. Okay. R290 is unodorized propane refrigerant. It is highly purified. So it's not the same propane that you use in your barbecues. Okay. And it is being very common, one of the more common, if not the most common refrigerant in new reaching cooler designs. Okay. R290 is the refrigerant they're using now. Okay. R290 is highly flammable and it's unodorized. So his question was, when he's getting ready to charge a refrigeration system that has R290, he's asking me if I think it would be okay to use mechanical piercing valves or bullet piercing valves to charge the system, avoiding having to braze a service port onto the system. So am I okay with using bullet piercing valves as opposed to brazing on fittings? No, I'm not okay with it. Bullet piercing, personal preference, okay? You do you, whatever works for you, that's fine. Bullet piercing valves, in my opinion, are just a waste of my time, okay? Bullet piercing valves cannot be used for evacuations. They cannot be used for charging very much. I mean, you can charge little bits of vapor at a time, but you don't want to use those things. They are not good. They leak refrigerant. They cannot be left on the systems, especially with hydrocarbon refrigerants. There's too many potential dangers. So maybe, you know, I've seen people put them on a system if they think there's a problem, okay? To me, it's just a wasted step. And this is my personal preference. Again, not judging you if you guys do things, but for me, I'm just going to braze on a fitting and leave a fitting on. See, oh my gosh, spoiler alert. Guess what? I don't cut fittings off of R290 systems anymore. I'm done. Okay. In the very beginning, when it first came out, I've got some videos where I did my repairs, then I cut them off and I welded them shut. No more. Okay. I'm not doing that anymore. I did not run into any problems. But what I think about as an employer is my technicians. And, you know, let's be frank, right? When you are brazing on service fittings onto an R290 system, there is a very small element of danger. And that very small element of danger is not worth it to me as an employer to have my guys potentially get hurt because of some silly step at the end. Okay. The idea, there is no law out there that says that R290 systems cannot have service fittings on it. Okay. It's just manufacturers. There's a couple reasons behind it. Number one, manufacturers want you to think before you apply service gauges because it's flammable refrigerant. They don't want you to be a dodo head and hurt yourself. Okay. Number two, the charge in the systems are 150 grams or less in the United States right now. So 150 grams is like 5.6 ounces of refrigerant or something. Okay. Or less. So applying service gauges with 4-foot hoses and you put that on a system that has 150 grams in it, you've just lost damn near the entire refrigerant charge of that system. Okay. So back to the question. Do I like using piercing valves? No, I don't. Okay. Have I used them? Yes. There's some occasions that I do use them, but they just seem like a waste of time for me and they leak. So I don't like them. All right. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. If you guys haven't already, please smash the thumbs up button. Okay. And I'm going to ask of you guys something too. You know, and I really don't talk about this stuff very often. If you guys like the content on this channel, okay, please share it with people, share it with your friends. Okay. Let them know about the channel, share it with people that you think might be interested in HVAC, help the channel to get some traction, but then also let's help to try to bring more people into the industry. I can't tell you, you know, when I've been talking about this a little bit lately, but when I first started doing this channel and I started looking at the comments and I started to realize that some people that watch my videos are not in HVAC, that kind of bothered me. Okay. Because I felt like I wanted HVAC people to be watching this channel. But then I started getting emails from people a couple years later that got intrigued by something they saw. They weren't in the trade and they changed careers. And that makes it really cool. So I'm really starting to like the idea of people having a mixture of HVAC techs and non-HVAC techs watching this channel, because there's potential that we can help someone to be intrigued to pick up something mechanical and to learn and to become a tradesman or woman, right? So I enjoy that now. So that's something cool. Let me see what I got going on in the chat that I'm missing. I really do appreciate that, CM. Thank you. Any tips for your dad? He works in residential. No, just if he works in residential, as any residential service technician out there, and I mean, for this matter, any technician, commercial, residential, industrial, whatever it is, be honest and, be thorough in your diagnoses. Okay. When you're working on things, be honest to the customer and be thorough in your diagnoses and do the best you can. That would be the best advice I can give to any technician, residential or commercial. Okay. Just do your best and constantly try to grow. Remember, you're never going to stop learning. Okay. And you're always going to be in demand as a competent HVACR service technician. So you got to keep upping your game. New stuff's coming into this industry right now. You really need to be studying it and learning it. So better yourself by education. Any education is better than no education. And the same applies to certifications too. Any certification is better than no certification. Okay. So just do your best. See what else we got going on in the chat. Don't replace parts without knowing why it failed. That's a really good one, Jennifer. Anybody else have any cool pieces of advice for residential, commercial service technicians in general? Go ahead and put them into the chat, whatever your advice is. Try to put them in caps lock so that way I can see them, okay? Don't replace parts without knowing why it failed. That is from Jennifer Monzo, from the Misfits of That's Monzo? Is that right? Yeah, from the Misfits of HVAC podcast. Do I have a video on how to check the charge with refrigeration system with no connections? No, Steve, I'm sure I have talked about that in my video. So, okay, let me answer this really quick. First and foremost, I'm a service technician. I am not a proper educator. I'm not a classroom teacher. Okay. My content is not meant for that. Okay. That's not what I am. But I realize, that I share some good stuff with you guys. So you probably hear more education on my channel in a different way. It's not a traditional way of teaching. It's literally the way that my brain works, and people just tend to pick up on that. Okay. So I'm sure that in a video somewhere, Steven, I have got myself, taking temperature readings and using deductive reasoning and figuring out what's going on. But I don't know that I have a video specifically on that topic. My videos mainly are service call videos and less education, like, proper education, basically. Okay. I would love to be able to do that kind of content, but unfortunately on my channel, I work every day in the field. Okay. I don't come in the office and sit in the office all day long. In fact, I despise being in the office, but, in a month, I probably spend 2 days in an office. Okay. The rest of the entire month, I am out working as much as my other technicians, if not more than my technicians. And I'm not upset with anybody for that at all. Okay. I love working and I work my butt off. So the only kind of content I can really film right now that I actually have the time to film is content that happens while I'm doing my normal job. Okay. So I just film what I do on a service call on a daily basis. And I would love to do more educational content, but I just don't have the time right now. I'd probably need people to help me, like a partner or something that can do content with me, that we can tag team something. Yeah, I need to find someone that can do that, because I think that would be the only way I can do educational content on my channel. So if you guys have ideas of people that you think would work well, that I could work with and do educational content like that, link us up. Email them, email me, whatever. Let me know in the chat too. Let me know if you think people that you think I should work with that we can do educational content. I would love to. So, but it's just hard for me because I have to focus on my normal job. So, to answer your question, no, I don't have a video like that. Okay. So I want to ask the chat another question. What are your guys' policies on overtime? When in the chat right now, when you are running an overtime service call, is the customer being billed for travel time there and back, or just there, or what? Okay. My overtime policy, and this was a comment, that little comment group of people talking about in one of the YouTube chats. Basically, they wanted to know, if that was common, the way that I run my overtime. Like, they were just having a good discussion about that. So I'm curious what you guys in the chat have to say. They should be charged to and from on overtime. Okay, Sean, I would love to be able to charge to and from on normal calls too, but that's a losing battle. So Overtime, port to port. Okay, cool. So it's pretty common, it seems like, because that's what I do too. Portal to portal. Yep. All right. And we do time and a half too. Yes. So I would love to be able to start doing double time on Sundays. That would be something that I would be very much interested in doing, or double time after a certain hour, someone had said in my chat. And I thought that was a really good one. So basically, someone in my chat had said their company does port to port, but like, let's just say a Saturday, certain hours of the day are time and a half, but then after like 11 p.m., it goes to double time, and that's during the week too. And I thought that was a really good one. I like that. I like that idea. After a certain hour, things go to double time, because I don't want to be working that late if I, so. All right, let's see what the chat has to say right now. Jennifer says they charge anything over 30 minutes there and back for service calls during the week too. Well, that's good. I want to get there and back on normal service calls too. 2-hour minimum travel time there and at least 1 hour back unless going to another call. Jeff's HVAC Adventures, that's pretty much my policy right there, dude. We have a 2-hour minimum, 1 hour minimum on regular calls, 2-hour minimum on overtime calls. And then, yeah, port to port. We charge travel time to the customer. We try to keep it under an hour if we can, depending on the customer. But yeah, pretty much the same thing. Let's see. Kelly Leach says, my education is less classroom, much more sharing real world experience. And I think, yeah, I agree. That is more of my content, is like real, it's more real, and not saying, the book stuff is not the right way to do it. Like, it's just, my stuff's a little more real. I'm trying to be as practical as possible. All right. What do I think if I could make a data logger? Would you like it? About the door opening thing? I don't know, but send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I don't really understand your thing right now, but we can have a conversation through email. So, all right. No whole house fan at home. No, I do not have a whole house fan. Now, on my home system, I am going to be including fresh air, but the fresh air that I'm bringing in is probably going to be optimized after the fact. I may bring in a fresh air duct right now, or I may just pipe it in and cap it in the attic, and that might be something that happens in the future. My focus right now is just getting my system started up, and then we'll start doing the fresh air and things like that after. This is not going to be something where I just finish this and it's going to be done. I'm going to be constantly improving the system over the years. I have all kinds of grand plans. I said it in my first couple videos on my house project. That's what we're talking about right now, is my home HVAC upgrade that I've been working on. But I have grand plans to have all the insulation taken out of my attic, to spray foam the top plate, just the top plate, to air seal it. And then also we're about ready to get new floors in my house. And when I do the new floors, I'm going to go, and we have hardwood floors, I'm going to have them pull and clean everything. And then I'm going to seal the concrete to the wall, connections and stuff, air seal those too with caulking and things before we put down new floors, because I want to try to make my house super airtight within reason, right? For a track built home from the 1980s. So currently right now, my blower door number is just under 1,000 at CFM 50. And I anticipate getting lower as we proceed. So for sure. Okay. So why not? In a recent video that I had, I used a KE2 controller as a digital replacement on a Ronco control, right? And why didn't I use the built-in defrost that the KE2 controller had in it? Well, because I used a digital temperature controller in a walk-in freezer. Walk-in freezers typically in my area use electric defrost, okay? The KE2 Temp Plus defrost controller only has air defrost. Okay, so all it does is shut off the liquid line solenoid valve or the compressor, and the equipment defrosts just from the natural air movement through the box, right, with the fan motors running. So in that situation, I would have needed a special KE2 controller called the KE2 low temp. Okay, that is the budget model temperature controller that KE2 makes for low temp walk-in freezers. Interestingly enough, I actually had the low temp controller because I carry one in my truck. I had it in my van that night that I did that service call. But, for an instant, I thought, you know what, I'll install that KE2 controller, but it requires some extensive rewiring of the evaporator coil. And it was a late night call and I was already irritated. So I wasn't about to spend 6 hours installing a KE2 low temp control on an overtime call. Okay. So I just threw in, just a standard KE2 air temp controller and then just turned off the defrost and used it just as a digital temperature control. So, why is it that we mount our temperature controllers in the boxes? I get that question from a lot of European viewers. They're surprised that we mount our controls in the in the cooled space. That's just something common. In a perfect world, to be honest with you, I would love to start installing temperature controllers outside of the box. Unfortunately, when you have an existing building that wasn't designed to have that, you would be surprised the amount of damage that's going to happen by mounting temperature controllers on the outside of the boxes in the restaurants that I work in. Because of the locations, they're designed to be really tight. They're moving hand carts, pallet jacks, and things like that through the restaurants all the time. There's lots of moving parts and things going around, and controls in the tiny hallways that they have in the restaurants that I work in. Just that little bit of sticking out of the box is just going to cause a problem. So we typically install them inside the box. In a perfect world, I'd love to have some of the, if you ever seen some of the industrial and ammonia system, well, in the industrial systems, sometimes they'll have their temperature controllers and everything up installed in the condensing units, and then they just run sensors down to the boxes. Like, I'd love that too. That'd be really cool, but just has to be designed for it. So let's see what else we got going on. Zero Fun wants to know what I think of the new Linux i-Series controllers. Which one are the i-Series? Are the i-Series residential or commercial? Because I know they have a new control system for their commercial equipment that is all programmed. Instead of using the Prodigy control, it's using your phone. Well, it uses your phone to program it. But I don't remember what the name of that is, but I don't know if that's the commercial one. So I don't know. Maybe, are you talking about Resi or commercial? Perry asked if I have a video. Oh, this is a great question. So Perry wants to know if I have a video showing step-by-step how to defrost an evaporator that's iced up, including taking the fan motors out and everything. And Perry, nothing against anybody that does DIY content. Okay. My channel is not a DIY channel. Now, if you are an intuitive person, you can watch my channel and you can probably learn and pick things up. But the last thing I want is to be a standard just DIY channel. Okay. I understand there's some elements that people do learn from my channel, right? But I don't want to take anybody's job with this channel. Okay. So these are meant more for service technicians, and I have no problem with people that are not service technicians watching. That's fine. But these are meant for service techs, and I do have to have some values in me, myself, in ways that I have to stay true to myself with this channel. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense to you. Let's see what else we got going on here. But yeah, I just can't make DIY content on here. So, when charging and having to change drums mid charging. Okay. So let's say you're charging a walk-in cooler. You've got 10 pounds in it. You need another, 10 pounds. It's a 20-pound system, right? And you only have 10 pounds in one drum. So you go back down to your van, you grab another drum, you bring it up, but oh no, the charging hose got air in it. Okay. So what do I do in those situations? In those situations, I'm going to purge my hoses before I open my gauges up. That's why I like modern 3-port and 4-port manifolds. Okay. The modern ones typically have ball valves for charging ports, and the digital ones, I guess I should say, they typically have multiple valves. So you have a valve for the high side, valve for the low side, valve for the charging port, and sometimes valve for the micron gauge. Okay. When you have those kind of valves, you're able to shut the gauges off and isolate them, and, a little bit better, remove any contaminants before you introduce it back into the system, right? And you can, to an extent, do that with a standard analog manifold too, like a compound gauge set. But basically, you just always got to purge your hoses before you open them up. A bunch of different ways that you can do it. So hopefully that answers your question for you, bud. Oh, guys. So I don't know if there's going to be content from this video, but I am going to go ahead and talk about this really quick, or content from this service call. I did film some aspects of it, but I haven't decided if I want to release it on the channel. Okay. But I'm going to give you guys some teasers about it. So we had an emergency package unit replacement that we had to do. Okay. So we had a customer that lost an air conditioner, and we were scrambling to find a 10-ton unit because it was a 2003 Lennox L series unit, and it had a grounded compressor, and the unit was just beat down in really bad shape. So the customer didn't want to repair it. They wanted a replacement piece of equipment, and we scrambled to find one. We finally got it. It was all just kind of 911. But long story short, we installed it, new Carrier 10-ton in place of the Lennox, fit perfect. Everything was good. We started it up. It's running. All is well. And then I started commissioning the unit. Okay. And what I found is that the unit was running over 2 inches of total external static pressure. So that system had some massive ductwork problems. Okay. Now I dug into this, and it was very interesting. So what I found is that the existing equipment at that location was originally a 7.5-ton unit. Okay. That unit was replaced, in 2002, and someone upsized the equipment in 2002. Okay. Now, we went out to replace the equipment. So this will now be the third time we replaced the equipment with a new Carrier package unit. And on startup, I'm having some severe airflow restrictions. Okay. So now I've come to this conclusion, and we've got to find a solution for this, because we have a 10-ton unit that was replaced that should have been a 7.5-ton unit. Not our fault, because we replaced what was there that wasn't working, right? So we replaced it and then found the problems, assuming that the equipment was sized right. So that'll be a fun one we've got to fix. It's not dire emergency. The equipment's running right now, and it's doing it, but we're going to have to basically figure it out. What do we got going on here? Yeah, let's just go ahead and get rid of that, because that comment's kind of bugging me there. Okay. So yeah, I don't know if I'll get content out of that or not. I do have some though, but so I had a recent video this last week where I had a train package unit that when I walked up to it, it was stuck in a weird, what I call to be like a boot loop, right? Where it was trying to boot up, and it was just doing this persistent thing over and over and over again. I think it had been happening for a couple days. And what it was doing was the unit was on the RTRM board. It was showing a diagnostic, right? So you'd get a diagnostic error on it. But then, 45 seconds later, the diagnostic error would go away. The heartbeat on the RTRM would flash like normal or do whatever for normal operation, whatever it did. And then it would go back into a test mode, and then like constantly start this, because it was starting the heater for a minute. And then it was just this weird boot loop, right? So someone had asked, how come I didn't test for diagnostics? Because the correct thing to do on that unit when it's locked out is to test for diagnostics, and the RTRM board is going to tell you and give you a general idea of where to look as far as the diagnostics go, right? It's going to tell you cooling failure, heating failure, whatever failure, right? And give you some general idea. So why didn't I test for that? Because the unit was stuck in a boot loop, and it wouldn't give you enough time. It was like every 45 seconds. Like there was no time to test for anything. I assumed it was going to be a bad RTRM, but then once I power cycled it, it worked. So it still may be a bad RTRM. Who knows? But right now it's working. So that was an interesting one, but I just didn't have time. So let's see what else the chat says. Reading through the chat. You're saying that you're a hobby electronics. You could make a data logger just to try. Oh, I see what you're saying. Interesting. Yeah, just shoot me an email, bud. Let's talk. Okay. Did I do my load calculation? We did a load calculation. I did not personally do it. My buddy Adam Muffich from the HVAC Overtime Show, he did the load calculation for me with my input. So I was his eyes and ears. I was measuring, investigating, figuring out, failure places, doing doing blower door tests, finding all the stuff. And we came up to a load calculation, but he inputted all the information into Quick Model and did it on Quick Model on his computer. So, see what else. What does the chat have to say? When do I know if my vacuum pump is getting weak and needs to be replaced? Personally, what I do is my equipment's pretty modern. Okay. I have some older JB 8 CFM pumps. But those even have, certified micron ratings or whatever. So all that I suggest you do is put your micron gauge on your vacuum pump and run it, and it should pull down, rather quickly to the actual micron rating that the equipment is set up for, okay, that the vacuum pump is made for. So you should be able to test your vacuum pump by simply putting a micron gauge on it, turning it on, see how low it goes, and comparing it to what the manufacturer says it should go to. That's how I roll it. Is Quick Model user friendly? Quick Model is challenging to say the least. Okay. But Quick Model is very interesting. They use video gamer hotkeys. Okay. So if my understanding is correct, they use the Minecraft hotkeys. So when I have problems with Quick Model, I just go ask my daughter, and my daughter will come in and tell me, because I always forget, because I'm a dummy and I forget what the hotkeys are. Hotkeys are like if you push certain letters while holding down a certain letter or something, or just even sometimes certain letters, it has an action on your keyboard. But it's not just like, I don't understand why Quick Model can't be the left, right, up, and down arrow, because there's literally a left, right, up, and down arrow on our keyboards. We're not playing. So that's one thing that's kind of odd. But as far as the accuracy and the features that Quick Model has, it's an amazing program. Okay. So the navigation's kind of hard for me to learn, but I'm also a weirdo, right? But it is an amazing app as far as the calculations it does and stuff. And a lot of very, very reputable people that I admire and look up to agree that Quick Model is probably one of the best, if not the best, load calculation software at the moment. So see what else we got going on in here. And I got no affiliation with Quick Model either. But if you want to talk, Russ, let me know. Or Connor. All right. Have you raised my rates in the last year or so like everyone else? If not, I should. It's about time to raise our rates again. We definitely are lower than we should be. We're lower than, it's probably disturbing how low we are on our rates. So we definitely need to raise them, but we also have to be careful because these restaurants are really under fire right now. So we don't want to push the wrong buttons and poke the wrong bear. So if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, Vern? All right. Well, it is time to wrap this up. I need to go eat some dinner with my family. My family is that wasn't supposed to pop up yet, but yeah, my family is waiting for me for dinner. So I really do appreciate you guys making it to the stream. If you guys don't already know, the HVAC Overtime Show is a show that myself, my buddy Adam, Joe, and Bill do on Friday evenings on the HVAC Overtime YouTube channel. It's a great time. It is not safe for work. What that means is that it is vulgar, it is rude, it is offensive, and it's educational at times. But it's more offensive, rude, and vulgar than it is educational, okay? But it's a good time. The way I could describe the Overtime Show is it's like four guys going to the bar after work, and they're about 4 beers deep into the conversation they're having, okay? That's the Overtime Show. That's the attitude. It is funny, though. A lot of us don't drink anymore. We've been doing the show long enough that a lot of us have stopped drinking. So that's an interesting thing, too. But it is a great show on the HVAC Overtime YouTube channel, Friday evenings. Definitely check it out. I really do appreciate you guys. I'm going to cue up my outro music. Again, thank you so very much. And we will catch you on the next one.